Hi, I'm Jameson Newlander, Alan Frog from the Lost Boys, and you're watching the Frog Brothers podcast.
What's Scooby-Doo is running from a spooky ghost?
It's refreshment time, folks.
Are either one of these any good?
Do you like scary movies?
I don't watch movies.
I have to return some videotapes.
You have a TV? No. I just like to read the TV guide. Read the TV guide. Don't need a TV.
Books, records, films, these things matter. Call me Shell. It's the fucking truth.
Over 1,600 titles, each for rent at just $2 the first night, and only
Finish him.
I don't watch TV.
Yeah, but you are aware that there's an invention called television, and on this invention they show shows, right?
Watch a few movies, take a few notes.
Okay, I want channels 18, 24, 63, 109, 87, and the Weather Channel.
Welcome to the Frog Brothers podcast with your hosts, Justin and Alec.
Hello, and welcome to episode 98 of the Frog Brothers podcast. My name's Justin.
I'm Alec.
And that's Nick. He
Hello.
still exists, kind of, sort of, kind of. He's here today.
Sometimes.
I don't remember asking you a goddamn thing.
Did you add a little more bass to the season 3 intro?
Mm-hmm.
Thought so.
Bass did
Particularly in the
Sounds good.
synth
Sounds
bass.
good.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
breaking news yesterday, sad news. Ivan Reitman passed, 75 years old. And we're going to talk a little bit about him on this episode, but we're really going to do a special breaking it down. But before we get into all that, we do have some other stuff going on we're going to chat about. I got some pickups I wanted to share. Some things to kind of lighten the mood, make us happy.
Some pickup trucks.
Oh.
I didn't buy any toy pickup trucks. I should, though. So I got this Toy-Saurus glow-in-the-dark Ghostbusters companion ghost.
Is that Winston's?
I believe so. I forget the name of this one, and I'm terrible for that, but I was like, I'll take that. Glow-in-the-dark looks great. I'm getting a whole glow-in-the-dark collection going. So Toy-Saurus, if you haven't, this one's slightly miscast, just like on a small part of his toes, so I got a deal on it. But I ain't going to complain. Then I lucked out and got one of these beautiful,
keep him up here.
beautiful Tony Taylor Toys Ecto-Cooler edition of his mini pus bucket, which I will gladly show you now. If you're watching on the YouTube. If not, I'll have some nice photos up on the Instagram.
If not, you got to use your imagination.
So I love how this one looks. This is an amazing little figure. Looks great.
Jesus!
Beautiful, Clark. And then we're talking about getting ready to start Twin Peaks: The Return since we finished the original series. And I didn't want to buy them all digital. I was like, well, I may as well get the Blu-ray, get all the extra features and stuff there. And, of course, you can't get Twin Peaks without getting Fire Walk with Me, so I had to get the movie Criterion edition of this Blu-ray.
That's amazing. The prequel movie.
It is.
I hope it feels so good to be right. There's nothing more exhilarating than pointing out the shortcomings of others, is there?
Yeah, so pick that up. Because you got to have the whole collection. And
this is what the new season.
Yeah, so and then I got the box set of the television collection. Ooh. So all 3 seasons, including The Return.
So cool, Brewster.
Oh, The Return's in there too? How much was that?
This is like $60 on Amazon for Blu-ray.
Fucking A, man.
Which is like the same price as digital, so I was like, I may as well get this and get all the special features that aren't going to be on some of the digital copies. Plus, really, what inspired the whole purchase of that was my Ghostbusters Ultimate Collection came in, and I'll do a separate review video showing off some of this other stuff. I mean, everyone and their mother that has this is showing it off right now. The only thing I was going to show and compare for you here is size difference between the original copy of Making Ghostbusters and basically this Goosebump sized or Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark size version that fits in with the box set. It's pretty awesome. Glad to see that it was reprinted, but it's definitely hard to read some of the small print in this thing. I mean, you can pull it off, but it's just not as easy as you'd expect. But either way, it's pretty incredible to have.
But it's cheaper than buying the original, right?
The book goes from anywhere, and the book's actually gone down a little bit in price.
Because of this?
No, I don't think so. It's just over the years, I think people have got it or gotten away from it or whatever else. So my actually box set was correct, so everything was in there.
So was mine.
Surprised.
Did yours light up?
Yeah, the light up part works.
I think mine's not.
Yeah, I think it doesn't light up until you take everything out of it, but this little button I think turns it off or something.
I did drop mine right when I got it, so that might be why it's not lighting up.
Either way, I don't expect that feature to last a long time.
No.
Excellent box set. You've already seen the pictures, but I'll kind of compare those to a few other things. Alec didn't have the digital copies of that, so I was able to gift those to him. But just to compare, I also have the 4K Ghostbusters 1 and 2 set with the slime slip ghost cover from Ghostbusters Fan Fest. You can see the slime's kind of drying out over time, but it stays in there. So
it's a little crusty.
And not crusty, it's just really thin in there, so it used to kind of be more mucusy. So those are my pickups for this week. Pretty happy with everything I got. Really need to start displaying things better. But I made a lot of progress around the house, and I'm able to get things going.
I only have a couple pickups, but mainly finally picked up the Fright Features line with the children and teenager characters. So I'm going to open those up at some point. Right now I'm just leaving them in the box because I don't have anywhere to display them.
You said you got yours at Walmart also?
Yeah.
I haven't seen them at Target yet.
And then I picked up this. I'm not a big Funko guy or anything, but for $6 for more Ghostbusters Afterlife merch, I was like, sure. And, it has the little thumb button, and he raises his hands. And it says, I ain't afraid of no ghost. But, you're the villain, so...
Yeah, it's one of those Funko Pop things. I almost bought that, and I was like, I really don't like that Funko.
They cheered when the Ghostbusters showed up, so are they really the bad guys? We don't know.
Face Off on DVD, which, you buy a $4.99 used copy on DVD, you don't expect to get a free HD copy that actually works.
Does the Voodoo code work?
Yeah, I used it.
Hell yeah.
So I now have Face Off in HD, and I watched that version instead because it was digital. So I was like,
I think I saw that at the theater.
Hey, that's a pro tip for you. So when some of the ultraviolet stuff went away and all those things used to have expiration dates on some of those coupon codes, and they'd still be, you buy a brand new Blu-ray.
I've used lots. Almost all of mine are expired. The ones that I used.
And they still work.
And they still work now. For a while, when it was called ultraviolet or whatever it was, they didn't. But now that it switched to the movies anywhere, they actually allowed a bunch of those to go through, which makes sense. You're like, asshole.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you?
What you just said
was not idiotic, so fuck you. So, we got to talk a little bit about Ivan Reitman. So clearly, huge Ghostbusters fans here, heavily influenced by his work. I watched Ghostbusters as a kid, obviously loved it. I remember the first time I saw Stripes, and it was one of those times where it was on HBO, Showtime, or Cinemax as a kid, and I was like, oh shit, this has, as a kid, you're like, oh, this has Egon Spengler and Peter Venkman in it?
Right, I loved all of his movies before I knew who Ivan Reitman was.
Yeah, and then I watched that and I was
what
like,
a director was.
Yeah, exactly. And you look back at that and you just think of the legacy this man left behind, and even though he's gone, we can always go back and reference his stuff for laughter, which I think is the, for me as an atheist, I think that's a huge bit, is that I'm not going to live forever, but damn sure it'd be nice if I left something behind that was noteworthy of a legacy. And Harold and Ivan both have left the legacy in that directorial space. So it's just interesting to see how the fan community's reacted to this. I mean, I think it's kind of brought everybody together and a lot less negativity than we've been seeing recently. So it sucks it's for that reason, but...
Did you know his mother was in Auschwitz?
Yeah, he was born right after the end of World War II. A year.
Yeah, he was a refugee to Canada from Czechoslovakia.
Yeah, he came over here and made it. Yeah, they made a great life over here, right?
Checking out the classics. Evolution, underrated in my opinion. Not great by any means, but
a lot of these
enjoyable.
have already been reviewed in our back catalog.
Meatballs and Evolution we reviewed, and Stripes.
Yep.
Twins we're doing today.
He has quite the legacy. I mean, if you're not familiar or you're
He
just
was,
kind of
old
familiar with
school?
the basics.
Either produced or executive produced. I can't remember.
Yep.
We did Disturbia not too long ago, right?
Yeah, also produced. I think that's a Montecito Picture Company picture, too. But I'm not 100% on that. So is I Love You, Man. That's one of the... That's another Montecito with Paul Rudd.
Disturbia is a Montecito, yeah.
Animal House, one of his first big breaks, was producing that classic.
Produced that, and like he obviously had this very long career and relationship with Harold Ramis, so their collaborations together were pretty amazing.
Did he have anything in production currently that we know
There
about?
was 2 things
Triplets.
listed on his IMDb, and Triplets
Whatever
was one of them.
happens.
He was...
No, they were actively...
He was
working
supposed
on
to
that
direct
again.
it, too.
Yeah,
Really?
they were actively working on that recently.
Shit, that's...
He
didn't seem like he was 75. He never really seemed like he was like that old, or didn't seem sick, and it's just kind of surprised
so
me.
to me, honestly, I feel like it's going to come out that maybe he kind of knew he had something. Something was wrong with him, and he maybe knew, and that's why...
Well, a lot of celebrities we didn't know that.
Judging
Norm
based on how
Macdonald was
Jason's
sick.
been treating him the last, 5 years in what we've seen.
Yeah, it could be something, yeah. Because he hadn't directed a full-length feature since Draft Day, which is one of my favorite sports movies. I know a lot of people, it's not quite up there with other ones because it's not the traditional comedy you expect out of him, but it just shows like his... the variety of filmmaking he can do.
Very rare occasions I will enjoy sports movies, so...
That was one of those when I realized...
I enjoy sports movies more than I do sports.
That's true.
Because they make it more interesting, I guess.
Because it's movies?
Because
I like sports movies where
they
there's
take out
no
the boring
sports, like
shit.
Moneyball. I mean, Draft Day is probably that way.
Yeah, it's all behind the scenes stuff.
I haven't seen it, but I couldn't deal.
Well, I think he's good at directing, like the beginning of Kindergarten Cop was more like a straight action movie and like a cop action movie. I think he's good
I'll say this now. So this year, when the NFL draft launches, we'll cover Draft Day that week, just because it's a tribute to Ivan and
Father's
it'll be
Day for
relevant.
Father's Day?
Possibly.
Unless there's another Father's Day movie you want to...
Some movie where somebody kills their father. We'll cover that on Father's Day. And I'm not sure. I'm sure that's happened in a few movies. I can't. Star Wars.
Yeah.
Return of the Jedi.
And the Emperor kind of kills him.
I mean, come on. It's close
Well,
enough.
he took his helmet off, so I guess Luke does kill him.
Yeah.
Yeah, he didn't know that would suffocate him.
No, he said, but you'll die. And he's like, then he's easily talked into doing it. So.
Yeah.
Yeah. But you'll die. So there'll be a little bit more on that later. Other stuff in the news. Obviously, with the Super Bowl yesterday, there was a bunch of commercials that dropped, and I saw everyone loving all this shit, like these throwback characters. I cringed so fucking hard at the cable guy. Everyone's like, oh, the cable guy's back.
I didn't even watch that one.
I haven't heard anything that really much about commercials.
Yeah, so...
I hate when they do things like that
They did
because
a-
it's like, no, if we want to see someone back, we want to see him back in a not cringe way.
They did a cable guy?
Yeah, I
Jim
saw
Carrey
like a
came as
picture
the
of it,
cable
but I
guy
didn't-
for Verizon's...
Dr. Evil was one of them, too.
And Dr. Evil did one, yeah, and that
I think
was
I
terrible,
saw
too.
a picture of that.
Yeah, I saw pictures, and I didn't watch them because I don't want my...
And they got everyone to do it, which is just
Image
cringe,
just
where they're
destroyed
like,
my
you
head.
couldn't have found a better way to spend your shareholders' fucking money than to do this shit? Like, I get it, it's controversial, but, like, that also tells you about how those properties are aging in pop culture, the fact that you could get them all to do a fucking commercial.
There's a Kanye West McDonald's commercial, too, and obviously he's been exploding with a bunch of crazy shit. Now, I don't...
Did he get a gay fish sandwich?
As a... Yeah, sure. I was going to say, to quote Glenn Howerton in It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. Now, I don't give a shit either way. Just to be clear, I don't care either way.
Mm-hmm.
But Kanye West is acting a fool on his Instagram, and it's hilarious. So I've been checking in with that frequently because it's just a good time.
Just watching anyone have a public meltdown to that level is entertaining,
And people
regardless
are like,
of how you feel about him.
People are like, well, he is bipolar. I'm like, okay, well, he has the money and possibilities to go to therapy and be medicated enough that he can't be making this much of a fool of himself. There's no excuse. And you
No.
can't just excuse people just because they're mentally ill. As a mentally ill person, that's no excuse to just be simply an asshole all the time, especially without even recognizing that you also realize that you're an asshole.
But he's got such a hubris, too, that he just thinks that he's Yeah,
Thinks he's
I don't
like
know.
God, basically.
He does, and then he keeps talking about God lately, and I'm like, dude, you are proof there is no God.
Yeah.
Like, you just really sell the point for me, in my opinion. Now, if you're into religion, keep doing you. I'll do me.
Oh, Jesus! Oh, God! Oh, Jesus! Wait a minute. Does it say that in the Bible?
My religious quotes for you.
Does it say that in the Bible? Love it.
Fuck it.
So, what else do you guys have to say right now? I mean, I think we're really going to break into the other stuff later, but I wasn't really impressed with the Super Bowl ads this year.
I liked the Jurassic World Dominion trailer. I'm interested in it. There's some things like...
I'm gonna watch that.
Baby Blue. That's kind of cool. Like, what I think they're naming it Beta.
Is this actually supposed to be the last movie? That's what everybody's saying. Like, this is the end of the...
If they do, I mean, I think they'd be at fresh point to actually try to do a legit TV series from the first book and really go in with fresh eyes and make it really fucked up and dark. But I don't think you can...
with like the baby carriage.
So that's what's
all the fucked up shit in that first movie.
Make a more accurate movie based on the novel is what you're saying.
Off the books,
make it more accurate.
Yeah.
Or, again, depending on how this movie ends, you could get a spin-off series that takes place in the future, and it's Planet of the Apes, but dinosaurs. I'd watch that.
Fuck yeah, I'm at this point, like, let's get weird with it.
Maybe the Flintstones is actually in the future, and Jurassic Park is a prequel.
It'd be like the Flintstones mixed with The Walking Dead.
Oh, my God. I'd watch it.
I love it. Let's do it.
I'd watch it.
People like, we can manipulate these
I love this plan. I'm excited to be a part of it.
Too bad we don't work at movie studios.
There's a reason for that. No, not yet. No, they really should hire us, though.
I mean, they tried to make a
don't come up with
21 Jump Street Men in Black crossover, so they should hire me. Stop what you're doing and hire me. Jesus. So, are we going to talk, we're going to move on to talk twins here?
Yeah, I think so. I think we're ready to jump in.
You know what I just watched?
Twins.
Off some morons fest. Return of the Jedi.
From 1988.
When that creature was in that guy's stomach?
Oh my god.
You ever seen that really old movie? Empire Strikes Back?
Jesus, Tony.
Welcome to Retro Release Reviews.
Just open the case.
No.
Yes.
Nick can't figure this out. This is why Nick is not in set dressing or staging things. So I did half my notes on my phone, half my notes on paper. Because I watched half the movie last night and half the movie today.
I didn't take a whole lot of notes because, honestly, I hadn't watched this in a while, and I was...
Just trying to soak it in, take it in.
Yeah, but here's the thing.
All in.
This movie's about an hour and a half. And this may be controversial, especially to say 2 days after the man's death.
You think the pacing makes it longer?
But you could probably cut a good 45 minutes to an hour out of this thing and have a better time watching it.
Then it's not feature length. So.
I know. And that's what's disappointing.
Well, this is hour 47 minutes. Is that not right?
I was baked out of my mind watching this, which, first of all, you could judge me for that and be like, well, you weren't taking it in fully. And I don't know. If I had watched this growing up a bunch, it would be different. But I saw this maybe once or twice on TV as a kid. And there's just so many pacing issues and, like, slow, boring. Just like, this is...
I can see that.
Does this movie know what it's going for tonally? Because sometimes it's like...
It does shift.
Big, wacky comedy. And then it's like... fucked up Danny DeVito joke about fucking a dead body or something. And you're like, wait, hold up. You can't be doing this. What is happening?
See, for me, I'm totally the opposite. Obviously, I'm 7 years older than you, so I watched this a lot as a little kid. This is one of those that anytime it was on, we'd watch. Like, our parents loved it at the time, and so we'd watch it frequently.
He was watching it as a little sperm.
He would have been an egg, not the sperm yet. That's how that works, Nick. I can teach you about biology
I thought
later.
Sperm stayed in the balls for a long time. Well, he was half sperm, half egg.
I don't have time.
How often do you ejaculate?
Yeah, but it doesn't empty at all, right? Maybe you stayed in there.
No, but do you know how many sperm you produce per second?
No.
1 million. Oh. As long as you're producing enough.
Well,
I mean, your numbers might be lower.
Maybe you
but
stayed in the back of the balls and didn't come out.
You ever get how do you measure your cum? Do you have to use a
don't
shot
their-
glass or a rain gauge
don't their
like
eggs,
me?
Doesn't
Oh my God.
doesn't
disgusting.
the eggs come out every month too though? Right?
A woman is born
with
her
all of the eggs.
All the eggs are there when she's born.
But I thought
They don't make the eggs as they're born.
No, but the eggs come out in that part.
One egg comes out in a month, yes.
Okay.
And that one is just like, all right, fuck off. That one has no chance after it's gone.
So you were the egg in the back, and you were the sperm in the back.
Not in the back, somewhere in the middle. That
You don't
motherfucker.
know
I
where
wasn't
you
the
were.
last fucking egg.
You don't know where
Definitely
you were.
wasn't the last sperm.
That's true.
They move around.
Oh my god.
You can ask several.
If you're just tuning in, you might think we're talking about the movie Look Who's Talking Now. We're actually talking about the movie Twins.
Several.
But the movie's about this. It's about them genetically engineering Arnold, and then
It's a movie about cum.
and then Danny's like the leftovers.
Cum. The ultimate movie.
This movie has the ultimate insult where the guy tells Danny that he's like the extra.
Oh, I love that,
the
man.
extra junk left over.
Even as a kid, like that just stuck with me because I was like waiting for that line. I knew there were certain lines in this, and I was like, "Oh man, he's gonna tell this guy he's like nothing but the leftover crap."
You're the stuff that rolled out of your mama's butt crack.
Yeah, they're basically like it split it.
Jesus.
No, but I have fond memories of this movie just because it's so silly. And then Arnold Schwarzenegger running around in Chuck Taylor's the whole movie is hilarious.
Arnold Schwarzenegger singing Yakety Yak was quite entertaining.
on the fucking airplane too.
And then you get the Two Live Crew version.
Oh yeah, that fucking remix. Yeah, that's a good one too.
Oh, you don't get no spending cash.
And then obviously he quotes, "I'll be back" in here too. Had to fit that line in.
Yeah. Actually, I watched Last Action Hero in bed last night because it's on Netflix. I was like,
Hell
watched
yeah.
that since we covered it. So, and that was the first time I'd watched it when we covered it. So
Really?
it was much more
That's
enjoyable
right.
to watch it the second time around. And he has that line in that too.
That's great.
So it's funny.
He also references a Stallone poster in this movie.
True.
Very similar. This movie, yeah, I enjoy it a lot. It's so campy and silly, and I've been rewatching It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia lately. Like I started with season 1 a couple weeks ago, and that's just kind of like my sitting around winding down show right now. And god damn, Danny DeVito's amazing.
Yeah, this definitely feels like he's playing almost the same character.
It does. It's like so much like the guy that's just a fuck up, and it's a beautiful.
You're a
beautiful.
mean one, Mr. Grinch.
So they give us that little soft opening where they break down like all the bullshit to kind of tell you the backstory you need to.
Yeah, they're talking about cum.
Heather Graham is uncredited as the young mother.
Yeah, and she's young.
Yeah, she looks like a teenager, like legit.
She's hot. Nick, the face you're giving me. That's fucked up.
I hate you
That
guys.
was my.
This is
I'll go
after
down that
Twin
road.
Peaks, and she's hot in Twin Peaks. And this, you're still like, "Rrrr, Heather Graham. Sit on my face. Free mustache rides.
So
Current Heather Graham, if you're listening to this.
Julius,
DM me.
Which she obviously is.
Julius, played by Arnold Schwarzenegger, fucking paddles this little rowboat looking thing 27 miles to the nearest airport as this guy sends him off to find his brother. Which is like, oh, okay. And like, it's one of those, like, so absurd. Like, this shit feels like it could be in some Captain Ron stuff. You know, like, some of these late 80s, early 90s comedies, like, have these crazy concepts going, and, like, we're so used to weird shit, we just like, huh, okay.
The
Just roll with
the
it.
music was overly cheesy in this. At some points, I was like, "Am I listening to Vaporwave?" This is Vaporwave.
There's a couple things. So this is before Ghostbusters 2. Randy Edelman
Yeah, I know
did
that.
some of the score in this, and like it's clearly to tell because like he has that piano.
There's a
love that
part
he
where I
has.
was like, "This is almost Dana Barrett's like
Yes.
shit from the second movie."
So why did they have two composers? Do we know?
I'm not 100% sure on that, and I don't think there's a commentary on this DVD.
I think what happened is no, never mind. I was gonna make a terrible joke.
And then we have Chloe Webb, who you may know as Elaine from Ghostbusters 2. And they make her look so like gross in Ghostbusters 2, and you look at her in this movie and you're like, oh, okay. And you always forget like how they try to do her with that weird cross-eyed shit and make her so silly in that movie. She's also in Shameless, was where a lot of people recognize her from.
Yeah.
And then we meet Vincent as he fucking sneaks out of upstairs window of somebody's place.
Yeah.
And goes rolling around like, and Danny DeVito just being Danny DeVito. And like, you got to think, this isn't long before he did Batman Returns, right? This is like, what, 4 years difference here? Basically?
Give
Yeah,
or
that's what I was
take,
thinking. He looked very penguin in this.
He wore a bodysuit in that.
Well, he had
though.
like, I mean, like he really seemed like he had dark circles around his eyes in this.
True.
Well, I know he has, a bodysuit.
And then we do this whole montage of Julius getting culture shock as he lands in L.A. and he's looking around. He sees the Chinese theater.
I've been there.
Yeah, that's awesome. And then we see that Vince is hustling to pay a gambling debt.
Oh.
Vincent gets arrested for an expired license. That's always fun.
See what I mean? This is not exciting. Nothing happening is funny at this moment.
No, everything is... The first half of this movie is just setting everything up, right? The first thing where it gets really kind of funny is when Vince goes to see... Or Vince is in jail and Julius visits him and, like, they're just dumbfounded by it. And Danny DeVito's funny because he's taunting him through the phone, like, acting like he's talking to him and can't hear each other at all. And he's like, dumbass, pick up the phone. So, you finally get that.
Well, not identical twins.
Then we get the whole parking garage scene where Julius just fucking helps Vincent steal this Cadillac. Doesn't know anything.
I like that scene.
Like I love how Arnold's this gigantic, like pure, intelligent person, but has no fucking social cues at all.
No.
And that's the funny thing about it. And then early on, they start trying to like match some of their physical movements.
He's borderline like Brendan Fraser in Blast from the Past.
Yeah.
Remember that shit?
Mm-hmm.
I did see that at the theater.
Unfortunately. That movie has like 20 minutes of it, or 30 minutes of it, that are really interesting in the beginning. And then it's kind of like, oh.
It's one of those things that...
I'm done watching.
The concept is like Saturday Night Live skit length. And they make a whole movie out of it.
Almost. That's what some of this feels like. The concept is still funny. I mean, obviously, if they're serious about making a sequel to this, there's some moments
I meant
in
Blast
there.
from the Past, but yeah.
Oh, well, fuck you.
But yeah, this is like the basic concept. Like, what if Danny DeVito and Arnold Schwarzenegger were twins?
And then Vincent's got $20,000 in debt. Okay, no big deal there. But then we meet the girlfriends, Marnie and Linda.
Yeah, because Arnold's like looking at lingerie and shit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then he's
like, titties.
Then when he meets Marnie, he's looking at the porno mag, which is hilarious.
Exactly.
He's like, I've never seen one of these before.
Oh, titties.
Yeah.
I want to put my face in them and go, look
out for the chopper.
I'll be back. I'll come on your back.
I'd come on your back.
And your front. And my maid.
I was going to say, now go clean the kitchen.
The random sign of the times, though. So is right before Julius meets Marnie in the store, you see those two girls in there shopping, and she's just smoking a cigarette while she's walking the aisles. Like, what a fucking time, man. How far we have come.
It's pretty funny.
Did they let you smoke in, like, clothing stores? I can't remember.
I don't fucking know. People used to.
I guess I wouldn't be surprised, but I
that's a fucking grocery store. That's ridiculous too.
Mm-hmm.
You could just buy like
Ashing
everything
in the
is
fruit.
smoked.
Yeah. We're like, huh.
God, what a stinky place we must have lived in.
And then
Still
they
pretty
go back
stinky.
to Vince's place, and he's nuking the meals, and he's all impressed by nuking the microwave. Yeah, we're gonna nuke the meals. I like the nuke meals.
My mom always, she would call them nuke.
Yeah.
Nuke it. Nuke it. That's what she always would say.
Yeah.
So.
And they have this dad conversation because apparently they're all part of 6 different men's nut, and they've mixed them up.
Yeah.
Like Freddy Krueger.
1,000 Maniacs. Yeah. Retcon. Sequel retcon for
Or
Fred.
my butt on a Saturday night.
Wait, the Tiger King?
No.
He's in jail, so I mean, there's probably...
I said my butt on Saturday night.
I know, that's why I said. You're like the Tiger King?
Hmm.
All right, well, I guess that didn't land very well.
Lots of cum in my butt. That's the joke. Woo!
He's having a good time in prison.
Then we meet Webster. He's the big villain, and he's pissed at...
He's in Airheads.
Yeah, he's in a lot of stuff, man. He plays a good kind of asshole.
Yeah, he's in Airheads as the asshole cop who's like a dick to Ernie Hudson. So.
And we get to see him shoot a few people. Shoots off the 2 guys that dressed up like Hawaiian nerds because they're going to go on vacation, and they get their car stolen. Which this movie is so absurd. Like, they don't explain how they find any of these people back before cell phones were even like much of a thing.
I was so disappointed that I wasn't laughing enough that I was like, I'm not even paying attention to the plot. I'm just waiting for the ha-has.
Oh, yeah.
Give me the lulls.
One of the first real, truly funny moments is when Vince is doing the dance after he hears the tape, and he's like, $5 million. $5 million. He gets into it, and he's singing about it. Like, turns into a theater performance.
Yeah.
Then Linda rolls by and fucking twists his arm to get involved in the road trip. Nothing too exciting there, really. And luckily for me, I have nostalgized this, so I'm watching this. I'm like, okay, I'm waiting for all these like classic scenes. And then you don't realize like how many like forced like little road trip shots there with like that Randy Edelman piano music just kind of diddling in the background. You're just like, okay, you're trying to make this interesting. Then the Klain brothers show up several times and start trying to fuck shit up. The first time, Julius whoops ass. The next time, he whoops ass again. And he's got this whole spiel about crisis situations.
Yeah.
You forgot the second rule of a crisis situation.
Yeah.
And he's like, what? He's acting funny again.
Yeah, he's making funny, saying funny stuff. His first T-shirt, they made a comment of that. I'm like, huh.
I want to get a print of that shirt.
That's a badass shirt.
Born to be bad.
That's like, don't hassle me, I'm local. When I watched What About Bob the other day, I was like, yeah, there's a few in there I need to get in the collection.
Mm-hmm.
They drop girls at the hotel, then they go see Dr. Tavern or whatever, and fucking shoos him off, and then Julius gets mad. He's like, for the first time in my life, I'm pissed. And then he goes and fucking kicks the door in. It feels like such a Terminator role. He's like just like the Terminator. This feels like almost like Terminator 2 Terminator, where he's just kind of learning
Singing
everything as it
yakety
goes. It's like so much vibes. I think like when they made Terminator 2, they're like, hey, remember that movie Twins you did? You kind of got to act like that, where you don't know everything and you're learning. And he's like, say no more, boss. I got you.
There's that building that's the same exterior as the building from Biodome, of the Biodome.
Nice.
It is like the fancy building that I don't remember what scene it went into, but I took that note, so.
Mm-hmm.
Because I've seen Biodome a lot more than this. And then I wrote, too much downtime in this movie.
Yeah, but then we find out from Dr. Travern that Danny DeVito is all the leftover shit, and that Arnold's like the perfect form.
Didn't we find that out already?
No, we'd mentioned it earlier, but that's when they find out, is after they kick the door in, and he decides to not call security. Then they go to Whispering Pines. If you're lying to me, I'll be back.
I'll be back.
And then they get that little sentimental tweaks in there, which they randomly throw in, which, again, to your point for tone stuff, I've noticed this time. Because like they're trying to build this brotherly bond here, and you're like, okay, I get it.
Danny DeVito says, I cleaned her pipes once, about his neighbor.
Yeah. Oh, before the road trip? Yeah, that was classic. Because she's like, don't trust him. And then obviously Linda's like, what?
I said, for God's sake, somebody throw a pie.
Then they get to them drinking, and Arnold's explaining like all about beer, and he's like, and actually this is my first beer.
Yeah.
And then, Monty, am I shit-faced? That was a pretty funny little moment before the little fight breaks out there.
Yeah.
And then they go back to the hotel, right? And Julius is going to get laid for the first time.
Yeah, do you remember your first time? I was a 12, and it was a nun.
Yeah.
What Danny DeVito fucking says.
Yeah, I know. I was going to say that's
where I was like, what the fuck with this tone, man?
Yeah, the comedy of him was hilarious. Yeah, he's like,
At least
I
it
was
was
12
the
years old and she
nun,
was
I
a nun. Could you imagine those expectations she had? And then made a comment earlier about the nun, like a little foreskin shadowing about the moment. So there's that, which is great. And then after this, it really kind of drops down because they take the women out of the face of danger in here for this.
I have 3 more notes.
Well, they go see their mom. Their mom doesn't believe that it's them.
That's one of them.
She doesn't know it, right? And so she like scares them off and accuses them of being like realtors or something.
She tells him that she's dead.
Yeah.
But she's not. That's my other note.
That was one of those random things I knew. I was like, I know this bitch is lying, but I can't remember like the specifics of it as I was rewatching it. So
And Danny DeVito ditches them and leaves them to go drop off that part or whatever.
He gets pissed, and then Linda breaks it to Julius that, well, you guys weren't supposed to know, but he's got something in the trunk that's worth a lot of money, and I'm afraid he's going to get killed dropping it off.
The hell am I like? Oh, I saw that. Yeah. That's all I have for notes, so I'm not going to be able to
shit.
be much help to you because I was really stoned.
Yeah. Well, next thing we know, Julius flies into Houston.
I need that quote from Forrest Gump. That's all I have to say about that.
And they do another one of these things where
Sorry,
like
man, he said
they're
it all.
mimicking their movements. Like as they're sitting down to eat, they did that. As they're in the bathroom, they did everything the same way, like the synchronized swimming shit. Because they're twins. I remember the way they killed the villain of this movie. Like once he had him at gunpoint, and they do this thing where it's like a old school comedy when they drop that chain on his head and knock him out. The third rule, duck.
Oh yeah.
They dropped this chain on him, and then like the chain pile's comically going. I remember that being hilarious as a kid, and I'm like, wait a second, like I thought we saw the chain going, and clearly you can tell it's just silver painted PVC chain because obviously you couldn't stack that weight on someone initially, the stunt man even, and then it's just like this fucking gigantic pile that's like comically absurd. As a kid, man, this movie's hilarious just because some of the silly shit they're doing. But as an adult, I'm like, okay, I see why people love this movie, but wasn't as amazing as I'd remembered.
Yeah,
I still had fun with it. Did you even watch it, Nick?
I watched it a couple weeks ago.
Okay.
I don't hate it. I just think like it's not his best work. And the only reason the little parts that do work.
This is our memorial to Ivan.
That's why I was like, well, what do you want me to do? Lie? I'm not going to lie about a movie review. I'm sorry. He made Ghostbusters 2, which are, well, let's talk about just Ghostbusters first of all. It's almost a borderline perfect movie.
Yeah.
Stripes is pretty damn gold. Now, there might be a little bit of fat to cut on that too, but not like Twins. Like, you could maybe cut 5 minutes total after that.
Ghostbusters is too lean based on.
But that's
seeing
also,
the
I think,
preview
because
cut.
I watched the extended version of Stripes a lot too. So maybe I'm thinking of all that extra shit that's in there on the DVD too. So
yeah, no, Stripes, the regular cut is pretty well tuned in. The extended cut just kind of gives you more, but it does. You could see why they came up with the original cut of that movie. I don't know. It's a fun movie, but when you look at Ivan's overall catalog, I'd kind of rank that. You know, what he directed 25 pieces, something like that total. If that's accurate.
I mean, if I had to rank them real quick, I'd probably do Ghostbusters as number 1, obviously. Probably Ghostbusters 2 is number 2. Well, maybe Stripes. I don't know. Those two are kind of interchangeable there, probably. And then personally, probably Evolution. And I know that's controversial, but it's just because I was young enough when that movie came out. I remember watching it like on TV, on the reruns and stuff, like the replays and stuff, and just really liking it. And then probably Meatballs, and then maybe Twins or Kindergarten Cop, probably before Twins, maybe.
Yeah, I like Kindergarten Cop a lot. It holds up.
Kindergarten Cop's great.
I haven't seen Dave, but I've been intrigued by it, so I might check it out.
There's a few on here we definitely need to check out. Like I've seen Dave in the early '90s. I don't really remember much about it. Same thing with Junior.
I saw My Super Ex-Girlfriend, but it was like not very good. So
I watched Junior not that long ago too. I think I watched both of these.
So does Junior hold up in your mind better than Twins did? Because it's Danny DeVito and Arnold Schwarzenegger again.
Maybe like pacing wise, but I think I don't know.
Is there better comedic moments in this one?
Yeah, I think this is. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean,
better bits, but maybe Junior was better assembled.
If you were to say your top 5 Ivan flicks, what would you rate them?
Ghostbusters 2, Stripes, Meatballs, Kindergarten Cop. I might put Kindergarten Cop before Meatballs.
Fair enough.
Just more of a because I watched it so much when I was a kid versus Meatballs. I didn't watch as much.
Yeah, Bill Murray is like authentically like interesting in Meatballs. I think so. That's what does it for me.
I would agree with that. Bill Murray carries that. So for me, it's obviously Ghostbusters, followed closely by Stripes, and then
Ghostbusters 2.
I just love Ghostbusters so much. They're going to be my top 2, even if Ghostbusters 2.
I mean, I love Ghostbusters 2. Don't get me wrong, but I'm just like when I look at it all, I think the first Ghostbusters is funnier in certain regards. Like the second one's got its moments, but overall it's a little more subdued with some of the, just with the love story going on with that more so than anything else. And then I would say Meatballs, Ghostbusters 2, and then Kindergarten Cop, probably.
Nobody picked 6 Days, 7 Nights?
No, which is interesting.
Was that with Harrison Ford and Anne Hesh?
It's not a terrible flick. I haven't watched it in a long time.
I watched it when it first came to
like
cable or something.
I remember my parents watching it as a kid and being like, what the fuck is this trifling garbage?
We had the DVD of that.
That was Ivan Reitman.
And that was one of those first DVDs when you could get like a value bundle of them that they bundled in with some of them. So I think like if
so
you
it was
bought
multiple Ivan Reitman movies or multiple movies?
No, it was like that, Lost in Space, Lethal Weapon 4.
Yeah, we got a bunch of
those
these random.
Three I remember were
oh god, Lost in Space with
the 90s
with
one.
Joey.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, people forget about that movie. No, Ivan's great, and you can see like there's so much potential for this to go.
Billy West said, in Space Jam, Ivan was the one who directed him when he was doing his voiceovers.
Oh,
so
really?
like that's how much he had to do with that. Like just being a producer on those movies, he was really doing more than just like having his name put on the movie. He was putting in the work for those movies too. I don't have the Beethoven movies, but I loved those motherfuckers when I was a kid.
I like the first one. We watched that all the time.
When you look at his hand, like he's got 75 producer credits.
Rabid, the David Cronenberg movie, the late 70s zombie movie he produced. He
I'll have to watch that.
Road Trip, Disturbia, I Love You Man, like those are all pretty like Road Trip's one of those like lowbrow like early 2000s ones, but like I watched it when I was a kid, so it's kind of nostalgia like that, and Freddy Got Fingered and stuff like that.
Well, you watch that
old school.
Clearly, he knows about the underdog type story, and he knows about that comedy, right? Working on Animal House and stuff. So why wouldn't he be a producer on that, right? It just makes sense. So, but that's pretty much it on Twins, unless anyone else has any final thoughts. And I think we can wrap this formal episode up.
Yeah, I don't have anything else to say. Do you?
Negative, Ghost Rider.
Maybe triplets.
Don't think it's going to happen.
Will
now.
enhance this film.
Hey guys, thanks for listening to the Frog Brothers Podcast. We'd greatly appreciate it if you could like and subscribe if you're listening on YouTube. And if you're listening on the audio feed on Spotify or Apple or Twitch or wherever you listen, tell your friends and make sure to subscribe to our YouTube at youtube.com/thefrogbros. Hit us up on Instagram at Frog Bros Podcast, on Twitter at bros_frog, on TikTok at Frog Bros Podcast, and follow us on Facebook. Join our Facebook group, Frog Bros Video, by searching just that, Frog Bros Video. Hit request to join and you'll be approved. We have shirts available. The link is in our Instagram bio and below in the description. And you can find stickers on Etsy at Frog Bros, all one word. Additionally, if you'd like to give us a call and leave a voicemail soon, our Patreon will be live and we'll be posting monthly responses and reactions to the voicemails. Dial 816-832-5388.